Hello folks. So you guys all know this. I've used Assault Vest Pex a lot lately. Assault Vest Pex is starting to become a very viable and very threatening Pokemon in the Gen 9 OU metagame. And I saw a comment under one of Pokegame's videos. Sorry Pokegame, I'm stealing your video idea that this guy gave you. Shout out to Full-Time Slacker. Saying, can you do a discussion video on why offensive Pex works in this generation, but nobody would have thought to use it in Gen 7, 8. I'm so baffled at its kill count every video I see it in. So I want to talk about this because I played a lot of Gen 8. I can't speak as much for Gen 7, but I did play a lot of Gen 8, and I'm playing a lot of Gen 9 this generation. And I kind of want to talk about my thoughts on why this is the case. There's some Pokemon and moves that we've seen retroactively become very prominent because of its use in the current generation. The most notable I can think of is Clefable and Knockoff. Those two separately and together. Knockoff has seen a lot more usage because of its buffs in these generations, and now people are looking back and saying, oh, knocking off an item is huge, even if it's only doing 20 damage, 20 base power, it doesn't matter. And Clefable the same, even if it's a normal type in Gen 4, it's still a really good Pokemon, serves a really good purpose. So what are we going to do here? What are we going to look at? We're going to look at why Gen 9 Pex is as good as it is now, why it wasn't used as much in previous generations, and why my personal thoughts on if it will be retroactive or not, like we have seen with other things. So first off, let's just talk about the two Pex sets, right? So AV Pex, what is this thing doing? It has Surf, Sludge Bomb, Infestation, Acid. Actually, no, hold on. We gotta talk about the original, the Pex set. This was a very, very iconic set. It's made a lot of people, here I'll scroll in for you, it made a lot of people want to quit singles because this thing is just so damn annoying. It is Scald, Knockoff, Recover, Haste, and then one of Toxic Spike, Scald, or Toxic or Scald. I can't even believe Scald is an option. I always ran Scald. 100% of the time I ran Scald on my Toxapex. But anyway, you could either do Rocky Helmet for more passive damage with your amazing Fizz Def, or you could run Black Sledge for more passive recovery. So what did this thing do? What did it do in Gen 8? It did everything. Spoiler alert, it did everything. It sat on stuff, it knocked off items, it spread burns, it did good chip. This thing was amazing. It stopped setup sweepers. That was its big thing, man. Haze is huge for that. There were so many Beast Boost Pokemon and Swords Dancers and Calm Minders, and Haze just ruined all of it. Like, you thought you had a nice sweep going. No, Pex is going to somehow lift something at 90, at 2%, and then he's going to haze your guy. And then guess what? Pex is going to pivot into something else, and now Pex is back to 36 HP. And now Pex is back in the game because it recovers when it comes in on a passive Pokemon that you sent out. God knows why you did. But anyway, I'm getting lost in the sauce here. Pex was very good because no matter what, it got momentum. It did something when it came out. It either spread a burn, you lost an item, you lost some PP. This thing did everything. I mean, you lost some valuable chip on it because guess what? It coming in is momentum enough because it can come in and then can switch out and poof, regenerator, HP back. So the Pex, it was hard to lose any value having a Pex on your team, right? And even if it died in 2 turns, it probably still either did chip and burned with Scald, or it knocked off the opponent's item, which could be pivotal to a later sweep, or it hazed the opponent's sweeper, and now you can regain the momentum, and the momentum can come back in your favor. So no matter what, Toxapex could do something, physical Toxapex. And there were a lot of freaking physical attackers in Gen 8 OU as well. Gen 9 OU, however, wrong button. Let's look at Gen 9 OU. So Pex, you still have the Pex set, right? But look at its moveset now. It has Surf, it has Toxic and Haze, or Toxic Spice. These, of course, it had this before, but there's no knockoff. There's no Scald. That's huge to its moveset. Those were its 2 things that made sure it got some momentum. It got some value. And also, a big thing, Recover got its PP halved. That's huge. It can't sit on things anymore because you can out-recover it. Even with Regenerator, you can still out-recover it. And in this generation, you run either Leftovers or Covert Cloak. Covert Cloak is more of a niche matchup for Garganacci, but it's still really good because the Pex can naturally wall Garganacci otherwise, and Surf is doing a ton to Garganacci as well because Garganacci can't boost its special defense. So the Pex runs a mixed spread here in this generation, 192 defense, 64 SPDF. Its terror typing is either Steel or Fairy, two of the best terror types in the game. And this thing does still sit on a lot of things. It still stops a lot of sweepers. It's still a very valuable Pokemon. Don't get it twisted. The Pex is still an incredibly, what's the word I'm looking for here? Frustrating. It's very frustrating still. It still sucks to try and kill it. But on the other hand, it can't do as much. It can't force as much momentum as it used to because it lost a lot in terms of its moveset this generation. So what happens, right? The Pex loses a lot. It loses everything, right? But from the ashes comes a phoenix. And we see someone, apparently according to this comment, offensive Pex was absolutely possible. Blah, 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 blah. It only really took off after someone used it in a recent top-level tournament and won a game with it, getting 2 kills with Pex. So apparently that's the origin story for the Assault Vest Pex. But there's more to it than that. There are so many good special attackers in this generation that are just hard, straight up hard to wall. Specs Dragapult, which that was in previous generations, but I'll talk about that later. Walking Wake's a menace. You have good typing though with Toxapex, and you have, you know, Regenerator, and you have the Assault Vest, of course, you can take whatever. Iron Moth, Iron Valiant. Iron Moth, you can't wall Toxic as much, but you can still get off a Surf before you die, you know? Iron Valiant is a huge one, though, because Sludge Bomb is almost always a guaranteed OHKO onto Iron Valiant. In fact, it's like a 90% chance here. Let me show you. Iron Valiant. Yeah. 81% chance to OHKO. So after rocks, you're basically always OHKOing it. So yeah, there's just so many good special attackers in this generation that you just want to be able to kill. And you also have Infestation that you can trap those special attackers in and then just like kill them right on the spot. So you don't even have to worry about them later in the game. You can just get rid of them now, and then Toxapex can just be a sack for later if you really needed to. Terra typing also helps because you have Fairy and Fighting type Terras, which are both good. And you can even run Terra Blast on Toxapex. And I'm assuming Terra typing Fighting Terra Blast is to flip the Kingambit matchup on its head if I had to take a wild guess. But yeah, anyway. So what is the point of this video? Why is Toxapex running Assault Vest now? And why will it or will it not run it in the past? So my theory is I have 3 big things. The biggest overarching thing is that Toxapex had too much an opportunity cost to run anything else other than Scald, Knockoff, Haze, and Recover. That's my personal opinion. That was my favorite Toxapex set to run in Gen 8. And I think your opportunity cost of running anything else, you'd be stupid to. Pex is best in that role, and any other role, it's niche-in at best, and it's a waste of a team slot at worst. So that's my theory as to why it's just now getting momentum. My theory also is the main thing is its moveset losses, right? This is where the opportunity cost comes in. The main opportunity cost. In previous generations, it had Scald, Knockoff, of course, and Recover, more PP. So now you don't have Scald. So what's your next best move? You either run Surf or Hydro Pump. You don't have Knockoff, so you got to put something else attacking there. And Recover PP is half. Okay, so not running Recover is not the end of the world anymore. Before it'd be laughable to not run Recover on Pex. It's such a good spammable move. Now it's like you don't have to. You know, there's other options. So Sludge Bomb kind of takes the place of Scald, where Scald was a 30% chance of burn. Sludge Bomb has a 30% chance of poison the target, and it's 90 base power. That's really good. Pex is now forced to run moves that are high in base power, which even with a 53 base special attack, 53, right? Yeah, 53 base special attack, it's still manageable, especially if you're running Acid Spray, because then you're lowering your opponent's SPDF too, and then you can trap them in with Infestation, so Acid Spray is even better, because then you can't escape from Acid Spray. You have 2 very good stabs, so you can even run Hydro Pump if you really want to over Surf. You got Ice Beam for Dragonite, which is really good. Basically, there's little to no opportunity lost if you run this special defense Assault Vest Toxapex anymore. And you can kind of see this set is just like sad to look at. It's like a shell. It's like a shell of its former self, right? Another reason. So there was not as much need for a SPDF wall in previous generations. And what do I mean by that? My main thing I'm talking about here is Blissey. Blissey was the premier special defense wall. It had teleport, which was buffed in this generation, so you could pivot out. It had negative priority. You had natural cure. You had soft boil with 16 PP still. You had seismic toss, so you had good consistent damage. And you had toxic, so you could still hit ghost types, which was huge. Because now we're seeing what happens when Blissey can't hit a ghost type. Spoiler alert, it has to run freaking Shadow Ball, which sucks. Even the off of 75 special attack, because you're still wanting to run max physical defense. So it's like, you're kind of in a lose-lose situation. Blissey's fallen to RU. There's no teleport with Blissey either, which also sucks. But anyway, in fact, most of the time you would pair Blissey with Toxapex, because Blissey would be your Spit Out Wall. Toxapex would be your Fizz Death Wall. These two are very good. Blissey walled a lot of things with its high Spit Death. Also, there just weren't as many good special attackers in Gen 9. And the ones that there were, Blissey took care of. There wasn't really much use for a lot of them, you know. Slowking took care of the ones that Blissey couldn't. Slowking took... The thing is, Slowking Galar, actually, now that I think about it, Slowking Galar was kind of the AV Pex of the generation. It had regen, it could run Assault Vest, it had very good attacking moves here. It had... Most of the time, you would run some, like, Sludge Bomb, Future Sights, you could run Skull, you could run Flamethrower, you could run Thunder... No, you can't run Thunderbolt. I thought Thunderbolt was something you could run. You could even run mixed attacking on Slowking. Like, you could run Earthquake on it. You can run Psychic if you really want to, though I wouldn't recommend that. You can run Focus Blast. You run Ice Beam on this guy, too. You had a lot of good moves with this guy. You could even run Weather Ball on weather teams, which, you know, you sometimes saw Slowking on some hail teams back in Gen 8. So there wasn't much a need for the Assault Vest Toxapex in previous generations because there were good special defense walls. Now there aren't as many like good prominent options in terms of Spit Off walls. Like this is your best one combined with the typing plus the move pool, plus Gen 9's much more fast-paced metagame where there's not as many stall options because of the recovery nerf. There's the faster pace has also helped a lot with this Assault Vest because now you don't need Pex to live for 100 turns. You need it to live for 30 turns. And Regenerator does that job beautifully. It lets you live for enough turns that Pex is usable and it does its job and it gets out. It doesn't need to stick around for 100 turns. And that's not even a dig. It's not even a dig at stall teams, right? You need to make sure in Gen 8 that you have some Pokemon that can last a long time in case you're fighting stall teams. Regenerator Pex against stall, it'll last long enough, you know. It'll still last long enough because the R team's so passive that you can just keep switching it in and out for Regenerator, and it's good enough. You're good. You're fine. You're happy. You're fine. So that's another reason. And on top of there being a lot of good special defense walls in Generation 8, there's a lot of special attackers in Gen 9 that there weren't in Gen 8. The most prominent I can think of is, you can see them all in this post: Iron Moth, Iron Valiant, Walking Wake, and Choice Specs Dragapult. Choice Specs Dragapult was in a previous generation, but again, Blissey walled that. So, and Blissey isn't really good at much except for that in this generation. Walking Wake though, Iron Moth, Iron Valiant, all huge threats. Toxapex can OHKO Iron Valiant with Sludge Bomb. Iron Moth, I actually don't know how much Toxapex is doing to Iron Moth. Hydro Pump is doing, yeah. And then if you're not running Hydro Pump, if you're a normal human being running Surf, you're still 2-hit KOing it very consistently. And look how little Psychic is doing. 31 to 36%. That's nothing. If you're running Iron Moth, nope. Here, where's the Choice Specs? Where's the Choice Specs? Why is that not coming up? Okay, whatever. We found it. Choice Specs is still like almost a 2-hit KO. And then if it's doing this much damage, you can obviously bring in a Dark type and switch into it, you know? Basically what I'm trying to say, any good special attacker can probably get walled by Pex. And Pex also has Terra typing. So even if Pex is special defense doesn't not special defense, its typing doesn't really work against the Pokemon you need it to, you can then Terra type into Fairy or Fighting and you'll be good. I personally have run Ground on mine as well to wall electric type attackers. So you got plenty of options, you know. You can flip matchups on its head. You have plenty of things. And also Toxapex's typing naturally walls a lot of the physical metagame in this generation as well. So there's not as much need to run full Phys Def Toxapex. You can still switch into some things. Several Edge is the first thing that comes to mind for me. What other things though that can come in on? Azumaril's actually OU this generation. That's a great Pokemon you can switch into just fine. Don Bozo can't really touch Toxapex at all. Yeah, that's about everything off the top of my head. Meowscarada, if it's choice man Meowscarada, you can. But every other Meowscarada you can't switch in and sit on. And then you can kill it with Sludge Bomb, Oko. Skeledirge is a physical attacker. What am I saying? Roaring Moon is the reason why you would want to run the normal Pex. Like I said, there's a reason there are still Pokemon out there that you want to run normal Pex for, but a lot of the Pokemon are like, you'd rather have the special defense wall, in my opinion. And there's a lot of good physical walls in this gen too. That's like, Toxapex doesn't have to be the main one, you know? Like Great Tusk, for example. Garganacci, for example. Don Bozo, Corviknight's back. I mean, you got plenty of options for Fizz walls. And again, you don't need a Pokemon that can sit on everything for a million turns. You just need a Pokemon that will live for 30 turns, enough for you to win the game. That's all you need. And I really like that about Gen 9, but that's why I saw this. So, will it retroactively work? I do not think so. I think this is a Gen 9 phenomenon right now. And as a metagame, if the metagame gets less offensive, I think we'll see Assault Vest Pex go down a lot in usage. Again, I think in previous generations, it's going to be like a niche use and not really the rule, you know? I don't think it's going to be like a staple like Assault Vest Toxapex is this generation. So, that's my final thoughts on it. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. So I love reading your guys' comments. I would love to have discussions about this. Also, follow my Twitter if you want to. I would love to have discussions on there about this as well. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. If you guys like this content, let me know with a like, please. I don't care about the likes. I honestly just need feedback. Like, do you guys like this or not? And I mean, if you want to dislike it too, go for it. I just need feedback on what you guys think of these videos. Do they need to be higher production value? Yeah, so let me know your thoughts. And I'd love to hear them. And thank you all for watching. Let me know if there's any other discussion videos you want me to make too. I've done like 30 outros now, so I'm just going to say bye and see you next time. Peace.